Hello and welcome back to a New Pace podcast. So I'm your host, Leslie Andrew, an artist and art therapist. And here today we have Rita Marie Honeycutt here to talk and give some words of wisdom, tell some of her story, and I'm looking forward to feeling inspired personally and imagine that anyone that's listening will be able to take so much from her. So welcome, Rita.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see you. And we were just saying about actually how good it is that we live so far away. You're over in the States, and and then I'm in the UK, and we can have these conversations, and yeah, to be able to have similarities, and there's so much that we as humans that we have in common sometimes, such common stories and everything sometimes that people often feel that they're alone, but really they're not. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the big part of like my journey was in the beginning I felt so alone, and then I realized there's such a huge community and it's everywhere, and
Mm,
it's been so inspiring to get together with so many different people.
yeah. So where's the best place to start, do you think? Do you feel like a general introduction would be good, or do you feel like maybe getting to the part where there was something that felt really important?
Yeah, so it kind of ties in together. So when I started the journey, it was really hard. I had just had my fourth heart surgery and I had injured my back. And in the process of all of those things, it was like I just felt so awful, of course.
Yeah.
And I had a really good doctor that he finally listened to what I said. And I don't know about doctors there, but I know doctors here are very quick when a female says, I don't feel good. They're like, oh, it's your hormones. And I'm like, it's not my hormones. And
Yeah.
so this particular doctor like took the time, he spent time with me, he did some x-rays, and he's like, oh, you have a herniated disc, that's why you're in pain all the time. And so him taking that time to listen to me and help me heal and get what I needed was like my jumping off point. And from there, like as soon as he got me walking, I have not stopped since. It's
Mm,
kind of like a toddler. As soon as they're able to walk, like they just keep running from there. So that's what I've done, and it's been so great because along the journey I've met so many great people. I've met my personal trainer, I've met the nutritionist, all these different people that like shaped the whole journey as one big journey and not just little pieces. They all contributed to it, and it's been huge going from barely being able to walk. I couldn't even get dressed on my own or put on my own shoes to running ultra marathons. I mean, so 31 miles or a 50K, that's a lot. And so
yeah.
it takes a lot, but I never thought 3 years ago I would be where I am now.
Yeah. And that's incredible, isn't it? Just for anyone that's doing long distance, that endurance athletics, no matter like what your experience, that is a real kind of feat. It's a real challenge and like a mental challenge as well as a physical challenge. So yeah, fair play. And just kind of really wanting to kind of maybe come back to just how it was for you when you were experiencing those struggles, when it sounds like you were in a lot of pain. There was a lot of things that were really hard for you, and that, the idea of going off and doing running and doing long distance like events would be like so extreme.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, what was your experience like at the time when you were in that struggle?
it was hard. I was depressed, I had anxiety because I never knew in the morning how I would feel. Trying to get ready for work was a challenge every day, and then being a mom, like trying to take care of my family, it was a lot, and it was mentally so draining that then it becomes physically draining. So already trying to heal from surgery and then having that mental drain on top of it was just compounding everything on top of each other. And so when I started just being able to walk for 15 minutes a day, it was such a relief because I instantly started to feel better just having that little bit. So it was hard to get in the headspace too, and just be like, okay, I can do this. Because when you go for so long of not being able to do things, and then all of a sudden you can, you're like, now I want to do, and then you don't want to
Mm.
overdo it. So it was a challenge to change the headspace as much as it was to change the physical. And that was one of the big things I really wanted to highlight for people, because, we hear about like, athletic addiction and the runner's high, but you also don't hear like about the runner's blues and the like the backtracking that you do through this process. And then
Yeah,
the first time you sign up for something, you're like, I'm never going to place. And you have to realize, like, you're not out there to compete, you're out there to complete. As long as
yes,
you get it done, it doesn't matter who the fastest person is. I know I'm not the fastest person. It mattered that I was able to finish something.
yeah. And that's so huge, isn't it? So, and I'm wondering whether that could be feel more kind of relevant for you because you've had those mobility issues and you've experienced what it's like to not be able to do those things, and then you've gone and sort of taken those small steps to achieve it, compared to somebody who hasn't had to go through what you've been through. And then it's purely about we starting day one with our training and doing all of these things. So yeah, people talk about the sort of, those mental blocks when it comes to an event, when it comes to fitness, when it comes to, being out on the road or on wherever you're going for sort of 31 miles, and it's a long way doing a 50K, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah. And I was just, having a little bit of a stalk on your Instagram account and things like that, and watching, like looking at it, it was just really struck me about I had this kind of thing of like, oh, yeah, park run. There was a real like, yeah, and it's like I've done lots and lots of park runs, and my last one was a while ago, but there's something really connecting about park run, isn't there? So
Oh, yeah.
does park run play like a key part? Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking about maybe like you, inevitably you wouldn't have gone from sort of just walking around the block and getting moving to then going and doing an ultra. So yeah, what
Yeah.
what sort of things were you doing?
Oh, that's the thing is I was doing park run. So the park run by us is like right up the road. And that's what I love about it. So it was crazy when I first started doing park run, and we would have, they would ask, is anybody a tourist like coming to visit our particular park run? And you started meeting people from all over the world. We've had people from the UK, we've had them from Australia, we had somebody from New Zealand one time. And it's such a great community, and they're so humble and they're so sweet, because like it does not matter what kind of athlete you are when you're out there. If you're just walking or you're running, like everybody's like thumbs up and great
Yeah,
job. And I loved it because it was a great place for me to start. When I started doing this, I was walking the park run 5K in like an hour and a half. It would take me forever. And to now go back, I think my fastest 5K was like 32 minutes, which still is a long time to some runners, right? But
yeah,
for me, I was like, the fact that I'm doing this in a third of the time from when I started, like that was huge. So being at Park Run, running into Katie, who owns Thrive Fitness that's nearby me, like she was great because she looked at 88 athletes a different way. Cause like you have this kind of gap where you have somebody who maybe is like in physical therapy and is like needing a lot of help, and then you have the people that are like in the everyday gym, right? But there's not really a space for those people that are in between. Like, I didn't need a physical therapist to support me, but I wasn't ready to go work out on my own in a certain kind of space. So it was nice with her where she'd be like, okay, this is level 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start with level 1, and eventually you get to level 3. And it was nice having somebody guide me through that process and understand with my mobility issues and my back injury, like I needed a different set of directions, and she was great on helping me get through that. And I give her so much credit because there were so many days where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I mean, even my race this past October, I'm like running along, and I sent my husband a text message, and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, it was a marathon in the woods. If you get hurt, there's nobody out there to find you. And he was like, you're fine. Just keep moving because I'm waiting for you.
yeah. Yeah. And those connections with people sound like that's been really so important for you that, you've got him really rooting for you and you've got
Mhm.
that guidance every step of the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy too because like my brother is also a runner. My brother, so I've lost about 50 pounds. I want to say he's lost close to 100 pounds. My brother is like the fastest runner I know. And he's like, I'm really not that fast. And I'm like, you're running a sub 6 mile. You're fast.
Oh yeah.
and and when I did the ultra, like he did it in half the time that I did, but it was so nice when I crossed the finish line that like he's waiting for me, to do this thing with my sibling who is obviously an athlete. Like it means the world that there's people at the finish line waiting for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what I was going to ask about as well. So, um, getting to that finish line, how would you describe that experience?
So some of them have gone so well, and some of them have not.
Okay.
Like my half marathon. Oh, and I talk about it in my book. I was so angry when I crossed the finish line because the person who was in front of me decided as soon as she passed the finish line, she was just going to stop. And
Oh,
I'm like, get out of the way. And so I was so upset because at that point in time, it was my first half marathon. And I just wanted my husband to get the photo finish, right? And so it honestly like stressed me out for like 3 days. But then I had the opposite experience with my marathon. And when I finished that, like I'm not a crier typically. That's just not how I am. And I was like, oh, look at me shedding a couple tears because I was so proud of myself that I had done this. I never thought that I would be able to run like that. And then on top of that, my marathon, I did a trail marathon, and
yeah.
running on the road versus running through the woods is very different. On the road, it kind of sucks when you're hitting that hard concrete, but when you're running in the woods, like you're trying to dodge rocks and roots and trees. And I'm like, I cannot believe I did this to myself. But I had a great time and I enjoyed it. And I did really well. We started with over 70 runners, and I think only 52 of us finished that day because the trail was just people were turning ankles left and right. And I'm like, the trail is my space. I do better in the woods. Like that's where I want to be. And so when those little things of being able to just finish, and then I think I placed third in my age group, and I'm like, I never thought that
Amazing.
that would happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good because it's really satisfying because I'm coming from that place of um hearing what that experience of getting to the finish line and you wanting to get that photo finish where you maybe just put your arms out in the air and
Yep.
you're going past the finish line and then someone's just there in the way. It's like surely it's an unwritten rule that when you go through the finish line, you don't just suddenly stop, that you carry on running and you
Keep
get
moving.
out of the way. You're not blocking an aisle. It's not the supermarket here, but you
Yeah.
kind of go past and that experience has maybe been the fact that it was on your mind for a few days kind of makes me think that it was something that like because I wonder like whether like when you're going through sort of a race and you've got that thing of what the finish line is going to be about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's maybe quite different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So do
was it
yeah.
was a rough couple of days.
Yeah. So do you have any like you like the trail runs fit like feeling more you and that going through the woods and then getting into a bit of mud maybe and that feeling more like you? Is there um other times when you've got sort of to a certain point and you've thought, you know what, I don't want to carry on now. Just gonna quit.
Yeah.
Or yeah,
I've had that. So my first marathon, I when I trained, I was able to do the distance, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. Well, when I was training where I live versus where it was, I didn't think about the environment change. And so where we are typically running, it's a nice, hilly but dirt path. And then when I went and I ran this marathon at the beach, it was blacktop. And at mile 14, my plantar fasciitis was so angry. And I ran for 6 more miles on an injured foot. And
Oh, really?
I called my husband and I was like, I need you to come get me. There's no way I can finish this. And unfortunately, that day I didn't finish. I ended up on crutches for like 4 weeks. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, but there have also been races where not necessarily injury, but the mental, like when I did the marathon out in the woods is when I messaged him and I was like, what am I doing out here? Like, why did I sign up for this? And like I like there's a little app that I use for a lot of my races. It's called Race Joy, and it's nice because my friends can kind of track where I am and they can send me like positive messages. And so it really helps because like somebody's cheering for you because every time a message will come through, my headphones will read it to me. And I'm
Oh,
like,
I love that.
oh, thank God, because there's like portions where you're out there and you're like, oh my God, why am I out here?
Yeah. Because if you've got friends that are tracking you that understand the process and they understand that certain miles are important and certain like points where you might be flagging, so, for instance, and then you're getting that kind of knowing what sort of things help. So are there sort of messages that have been actually saying that's really good, saying that's not so good?
Yes, yeah. Like whenever it always seems to be those last few miles, right? Where you're like, I'm so close to the finish line, but
Yeah.
that's like the hardest part. And I've noticed with so many races, like that's where your aid stations start to become sparse. Like there's nobody out there. And you're
Mm,
like, oh, I need a banana so bad. And then when you get that little message at mile 25, you're like, yes, I can keep going. It's not that much farther. And even if it's just something as simple as a thumbs up, like it's just letting you know that like they're thinking about you and they're rooting for you. And it's so nice because there's been a couple of times where I wasn't expecting anybody at the finish line because like I would drive myself to a race. My husband was either working or something was going on. And then one of my friends would show up and it was like, okay, I'm gonna drag myself across this finish line because like they're trying to get my photo op.
yeah. 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 It's that motivation, isn't it, that kind of keeps you going, that it's like that's not just about what's going on when nobody's watching, that
Hmm.
you're seeing that.
Oh yeah.
So I love
And
that.
that's why I've tried to be open about my journey because I think that so many times people either feel alone or they think like I'm the only, like for a while, I thought I'm the only one that's thinking like this. I'm the only one sitting here going, I'm ready to give up. And then like it finally dawned on me one day of like all the people with the new year, new me, right? Like they have those good 3 weeks in the gym and then they kind of like taper off because they were like, I can't do this. And it's like, no, you can. You just need somebody there to give you that little boost. And so
Yeah.
it's been nice having a positive circle that I can share that journey with and then letting them know if they're going through it, like, I got you. I understand how you felt and it's gonna get better.
Yeah. So are you working, have you got a race coming up like in the next few months or around?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
what are you?
I have I say a short race, right? It's only 5 miles, which after
Yeah.
31 miles, you're like everything's easy. Um, but it's crazy because I had foot surgery last week, and I'm like, I got to race in 3 weeks. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but then we also have I'm training for my first triathlon,
Nice.
and Lord, I hate swimming. So it's been that's the nice thing too is you're always overcoming like the next obstacle. So
Yeah.
I'm not a like I'm just not I can swim to survive. But I'm not the greatest swimmer. So like having to push myself through a new like discomfort, I'm like, okay. And it's been so nice
Yeah.
going from bare like I could swim for 5 or 10 minutes and I'd be exhausted. And now I'm swimming for 30 minutes straight. And I'm like, I'm getting there. And
Mm.
it's just always having that next challenge has become something I kind of need. So yeah, like in the next I want to say in the next month, I have like 3 races coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean we're filming this in February. This would
Mhm.
probably be scheduled for sort of the middle of the end of March. So actually, like it might be around about the time that you're doing these races, or you might have already done it. So in some ways we ought to just scoot back and have a review of how the race comes. But yeah, when I did lots and lots of races, I was going through a phase where I was like for many years where I was almost doing back-to-back races. Nearly every weekend I'd either be marshalling or running something or like hiking somewhere. And it just takes up so much time and takes up so much sort of um space in your diary. But
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have kind of ways that you're training for these events then? Are you in the gym or do you do other things and
Yes,
what do you do?
I'm very much about cross training. So I learned the hard way that cross training is crucial. Like when I started, I was just walking and running, and then I realized how important like lifting weights was to keep
Mm,
me moving. And it was crazy because like I had lost a bunch of weight and everybody's like, "Oh, you're really slimming down." And then they noticed I started like bulking up and it was
right.
all muscle. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm not getting injured the way I was anymore because my muscles are getting stronger. So I'm very much about lifting weights. And then I love Zumba. Like,
Yeah.
I am the worst dancer on the planet. However, I absolutely love Zumba. Like, it really helps with your endurance because you're having to keep moving for an hour straight. And
Yeah.
it's been great having all these different things, all the different types of cardio, running, biking, all of these things. It's just made it the whole process more well rounded. And
Yeah.
that gives me the opportunity to go and try different things that I never thought I'd do before.
Yeah. Is there anything you don't like out of
Like,
all of the training?
like I said, I really don't like swimming.
Oh,
it's it's just I'm like I said, I can swim to survive. And I'm trying to learn to swim now. And learning to swim as a kid is a lot different than trying to learn how to swim when you're almost 40.
yeah.
And so one of my things I think I struggle with putting my face in the water, which is a crucial part of the technique. So I'm trying to learn how
Yeah.
to work through that, and it has been an interesting experience. Like I said, I could do, the doggy paddle, but now I'm like, all right, I've got to properly, move my arms and do these things, and it's been an experience.
Yeah. I'm glad I sort of checked in again about that because it highlights just how challenging you find swimming compared to sometimes I've spoken to people doing a triathlon or attempting to do one and then they'll say I can't swim. And then it turns out that they can swim, they're very good at swimming, and what they mean is that they're not swimming at the standards that they're doing the running, for instance. They might do
Mhm.
park run in 20 minutes, but their swimming doesn't align with it. So it's just reinforced that kind of thing. And yeah, I was wondering about kind of recovery as well. Like what's the sort of recovery process? Because I'm just thinking about like if you've got particular things that have helped or not helped,
Yeah.
like that feeling after, like when you've done a race and then you're the next day, what sort of tips do you have about recovery?
So protein is life.
Protein is
um,
life.
I live the protein life now. Like my very first meal of the day is a protein shake, and it's over 40 grams of protein first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
Um, and it's crazy because like when I did my marathon, I was of course exhausted afterward, but I
yeah,
didn't have the muscle fatigue I was anticipating, and I think it was because of the high protein. And then taking proper like multivitamins and stuff like that has been huge. Magnesium is great for healing the muscles. Magnesium soaks are also really good, but the biggest thing is just like keeping that healthy diet, because a lot of times you'll see, I've learned, like runners afterward will go and eat, like, and I have done this too, but they'll go eat like a whole pizza, and I'm like, okay, you still have to eat the chicken, like. And so it's crazy because like when I did my marathon, because I kept up that healthy diet and I didn't like fill it with junk food. Sunday, of course, I slept really hard, but Monday morning, I was back in the gym like it was nothing. And I think that was just because I've chosen to eat this healthier diet, try and make sure more of our stuff is fresh. Like we have our own chickens, so I'm eating fresh eggs all the time. Those things really help.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you burnt so many calories being on your feet all day doing a ultra and maybe not necessarily drinking as much water as you really should, then
Hmm.
the temptation is just to fill up on whatever calories can fill you and to
Yeah.
make you to nourish yourself in that moment, that instant fix.
Yeah.
Whereas that, yeah, continuing to have the protein and to like like really, really be proactive about recovery. Because
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, and even like when I'm out there, I'll fill up my Camelback and I'll try and drink as much as I can, but it's also like getting the electrolytes and
Mm.
continuing to drink. Like, and one of the things is like when I run, like I am very hot natured to begin with. So I've been out there. We had a race in January and it was like 25 degrees, but I'm so hot natured. Like I was out there in shorts and a tank top. And like I'm still sweating as if it was the middle of summer. So making sure you're filling up on that water intake and those electrolytes has been so crucial. I know like my two big things are like Gatorade and something called Tailwind that it's just a powder you put in and
Oh
it
yeah.
helps. And then like Cliff bars, they make like a gel. It's basically like one little gel cube is like drinking a Gatorade. And I'm like, that's all I need. Like,
Oh, I remember those. They're a bit like like a bit like jelly, like a jelly
yes,
cube, but then it's got
yes,
good stuff in.
yes. So
Yeah.
I don't have to
Oh,
feel bad
yeah.
about eating them.
No, but I suppose the disciplined element is not to eat the whole packet all at
Hmm.
once and to space them out. Because
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like I've kind of like made this like mental schedule in my house, like my mind of like, okay, if I eat two now, I can eat the next two in the next 30 minutes. Because that's the thing too, is you don't want to eat all of that and then like you're too much, you're 2 hours in and you're like, I need more snacks and all the snacks are gone.
Yeah, yeah. And then, oh, you maybe feel sick or something, and yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not so good for your stomach and things. Yeah. So if you were, your messages, and like really mindful that you've got a book as well, and I'd love to hear a bit about that. Um, and just feeling a bit like a lot of what this feels important about is sharing a message to other people that it's possible. So if somebody was struggling, like, at that early stage that you were at, and they couldn't imagine getting to do even just something really, really small, what's the message and what advice would you give them?
You just have to keep moving. It's so hard. So I talk about in the book motivation versus discipline. Like
Yeah.
we're all motivated at in the beginning, right? We're all like, oh, I want to have that summer ready body so I can go to the beach. And that sounds really good at first, but it trickles away really quickly. And it's building that discipline like every day, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. It's so hard. So like the first time I worked out with Katie, I I drove past her gym and they were all outside because it was a nice day. And I pulled in and she's like, well, the first class is free. Come work out with us. And I did. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. All these women are old. I can keep up. Okay, I was wrong. I was not ready to keep up when I got done with class because I tried so hard to be like on par with everybody else. I walked out of class. I went to my Jeep. I threw up and I called my husband and was like, come get me. And it was so awful. And he's like, so are you going back on Wednesday? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going back on Wednesday. But it was hard to process, like just because it was a difficult situation doesn't mean don't go back. And
Yeah.
I just kept every day. And even like this morning, I'm trying to heal up from this surgery and I only worked out for like 20 minutes because that's all I could do this morning. Like I didn't feel good. I'm trying to like get myself back in gear, and that's okay. Like I showed up today, even though it was hard and I didn't feel good. I at least showed up and I did something. Tomorrow, I'll do a few minutes more, and you just keep building on that. And like that's the big thing. Like it's so easy to give up. Just don't give up. Like,
Yeah. It's harder to get back after you've stopped for a long time than it is to
mhm,
keep going. And it might, because this is thinking about my own experiences, I'm in a position of needing to get out, needing and really wanting to get back to going out hiking and doing running races and
mhm.
things. And I'm really mindful that I know from experience that when I've kept going, it's been easier to keep going. And so, but actually, I am having to really dig deep to kind of go and do it. So it's that message of keep going, and even
Yes.
if it doesn't, even if it sucks, it's worth doing
Oh
because
yeah.
not doing it and then trying to do it afterwards is sort of harder.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I said, even though I couldn't give it my all this morning, I know I did something, and it's just like, okay, I didn't break my routine. Like, and it's
Yeah,
just so much. It'll get easier over the next few weeks.
yeah, yeah. And I'm just wanting to ask you some things about sort of this podcast is based on the framework A New Pace. And the idea of that is about stepping into a new pace, doing things differently, maybe, and that four part pause, act, create, and empower. And yeah, if I'm just curious if you've got any thoughts about any of those or all four, whichever of those you want to sort of nod to.
Oh yeah. The biggest thing I feel like is empowering ourselves, right?
Mm,
Like it's so easy. Like in my full-time job, my full-time job is to empower other people to get their benefits and stuff through the VA system. I work with veterans and trying to convince them that yes, you're worthy of this medical care and these things. And then you kind of forget about yourself when you work in some kind of like social work or helping position. It's great to empower everybody else, but you can't pour from an empty cup, which I am.
no.
I'm so good at being like, oh, well, I'm getting a couple drops out of the cup. But you can't forget about yourself and moving forward all the time. And then when you do that, like you're not only empowering yourself, you're empowering others. And like
Yeah,
that has been a huge part of what I've done because we hear, especially here in the US, like so many people are overweight and they're unhealthy and they're diabetic and they have high blood pressure. And it's like, you can take all of that back if you find a way to do it. And
yeah,
it's not the drugs are not always the answer, right? Like here, it's so easy for them to be like, well, here's some medication. And it's like, well, what can you do in place of the medication? Do you need to cut out some sugar? Do you need to change your schedule? What can you do to make your life better so that you're better?
mm, yeah. So I'm really witnessing you doing that for yourself and then modeling that for other people. You kind of prioritizing your health and showing up for yourself even when you might just be able to manage a short session and then helping other people to do the same
Mm-hmm.
compared to maybe it feeling like all talk sort of thing. Because what you said about not being able to power from an empty cup, it's so common, isn't it, that we might help other people, but then not help ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I said, working in like a social work position, or even like moms, their moms are so busy, like making sure, is your lunch packed? Did you finish your project? Did you do like we're supporting everybody else? And it's like, no, you deserve support too. You deserve those moments, and it's sometimes it's easier said than done. But it's like there's ways around those little things. Even like with my daughter, it's a little bit easier because she's 16, but I can be like, okay, well, you're going to come to the gym with me. That way I'm keeping an eye on you and we're working out together and we're doing this thing together because I want her to be healthy and I want her to move the way I am in this positive forward direction. So it's like, not only can, like you said, you can't just talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna drag you with me on that walk.
Yeah. Yeah. And once you like, because I, yeah, once you're out and you've been sort of taken along, then you kind of, now that I'm here, really enjoying it, like really
Yeah.
into it, and you get a bit of mum daughter time as well.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I can see when we're in class, like she's working out with one group and I might be working out with another. And she's like watching me to see how much weight I'm putting on my sets and everything.
Oh
And she's
yeah.
over there like, I'm gonna lift as much as mom. And I'm like, not yet, you're not. Like, so it's become,
Ah,
there's a friendly competition between the two of us, but it's like at the same time it's motivating her to want to get to this level. And I'm like, that was the
yeah.
goal, was for you to be motivated.
Yeah. And if it's healthy enough competition that she's doing it rather than it being overwhelming that it's kind of nah, it's too much
Yeah.
sort of thing, then
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, super. I've got a few I feel like yeah, I've got a few questions that are just like some random quick fire questions because I feel like the reason why I'm thinking of this is that whenever I've been out running, I've often kind of my brain has gone off on a tangent
Oh
sometimes.
yeah.
I see something and then my imagination goes wild and I start to kind of make up stories or start to kind of do different things, sort of thing. So it's some of these might just be really quick answers or some of them might kind of go, okay. Um Coffee or tea?
Tea. I like hot tea. I'm
Oh
from the
yeah.
north originally, so we drink hot tea like y'all do.
Oh nice. Um, the mountain or the sea?
Mountains, always.
So, before I was saying that, I was thinking you've been talking about loving trail runs and stuff, so it
Mhm.
would be mountains. But yeah, um, would you rather, um, oh, hang on. My brain's gone into like, I was just gonna make these things up. What's the weirdest thing what's the weirdest animal you've seen en route?
I've seen so many. The weirdest. Okay, so not necessarily on a run, but on a hike, we saw these little things called pikas. It's almost
Oh,
like a it's almost like a chipmunk and a squirrel had a baby. They're really weird.
ah,
But they're so cute and they're like the size of a mouse. But they're super adorable. But I mean, some of our trails that we've done, we've seen elk and moose and bears and things, but that little like 5 inch tall creature has been the most interesting one.
oh yeah, okay. What's a mantra that you go to regularly just to keep going?
My big thing is like be better, do better, be better, do better. Like every day, if I can just be better at one little thing, I know I can do it better tomorrow.
I love that. Be better, do better, be better, do better, be better, do better. Yeah. And it's almost like the steps, isn't it?
Yes, yes. It's
Yeah.
funny. I was talking to my personal trainer about that, and she was like, I don't know how, like, I stay pretty consistent. And Gunny from like the Marine Corps movies and stuff, I put him in my ear and listening to him like do cadence. I'm like, all right, the Marine is yelling at me. I got to keep moving.
Yeah. So you like that discipline. It's that discipline again over the motivation
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what's your favorite song to listen to or type of kind of track to be when you're out on the hills?
I I'm a big fan of like Bon Jovi. So growing up in New Jersey, like that's where he's from. So I just something about his music is just very motivational. Um, like because we can, like he's like, we're gonna do this thing just because we can, and like that
Yes.
has been I love listening to him because it also helps with that cadence. But his music is just it's real life, and I think it's because he grew up like just a normal guy, and so his music very much ties into how he is as a person.
Yeah. And as you were saying, Bon Jovi, I couldn't help but thinking about sort of living on a prayer and you're
Yes.
getting halfway through and you're
Yep.
like, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I need when I'm out there in the middle of nowhere by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, because I'm just thinking about like when you are out there in the middle of nowhere by yourself, there's loads of things to consider, isn't there? Like lots of things that come up about safety and stuff like that. Do you have a particular I don't know, like this isn't maybe not so much about safety, but more about motivation, a quirk that you do that nobody else would sort of know, but you've just got kind of got something in your pocket or something that you do, but maybe some people might know, but not really.
I mean, the biggest thing is like every time I feel like I'm slowing down, like my big thing is like one foot in front of the other. Just keep putting that next foot in front of each other. Like, and as long as I can do that, like I'm good. But it's interesting. Like a lot of people have asked me about safety, especially like in the woods, and I'm like, I don't know if because I have, a little bit of a background in martial arts, I'm like, go ahead, try and mug me. And if you do, I'm going to talk your ear off and you're going to send me back to my husband's.
Yeah.
Like, but I live in an area where that's not really come up, and I'm grateful for it because I know some women that are running in different areas. Like I have a one friend that wherever she goes, she's at least got like her hunting knife on her because she's like, at least that's something I can defend myself close by with. And I'm like, yeah, they don't want to kidnap me. And also, like, even though I've lost a lot of weight, I'm like, I'm still heavy. If you can carry me out of the woods, you've earned it.
But it feels like, that your humor's really coming through there, but it's kind of a nod like showing your sort of resilience and like feeling empowered to get up and do it regardless, that even though that there are those safety issues, that it's not something that's stopping you from doing it, because from what I'm hearing, doing it is a bit of a lifeline, really.
Yeah, it's definitely built up my confidence. When I first started this, I had a lot of like self esteem issues. Like, and I mean, I still do because they're comfortable, but I would always wear like baggy clothes to kind of hide my body. And now I'm like, yeah, I can wear some stuff and I look okay in it. But it was very hard at first. And now being more confident. And that's something, it's funny because like, talking about the safety is something that kind of comes to mind. Is a friend of mine, her son was getting bullied, and I told her, I was like, all he has to do is make it hard to be bullied. And I think that that's where maybe some of the issues that some women have, I haven't had, because like if you come off as confident and you're going to be too much work to kidnap, they're not going to kidnap you.
Yeah.
But I'm
Well,
like, and I did the same with him. I'm like, make the bully have to work for it, because if he has to work for it, you're not a target anymore, and they're gonna leave you alone. And thankfully, that has worked so far.
yeah. And it seems that actually, being able to control what you can, and
Yes.
there's things that you won't be able to control. So every situation you're not going to be able to control, but you're taking charge of things
Yeah.
that you can. But
And then just being aware of your surroundings. I think that's a big thing. Especially being, prior military, like you're constantly taught like check what's going on around you. So I've never been in a situation where I felt unsafe because I'm aware of what's going on around me.
yeah, yeah. So this feels so interesting, inspiring. I feel like it's dark outside right now. I feel like I need to just get up and go for a walk right now. It's kind of stick my hiking boots on, I think. And but yeah, so there'll be other people that are feeling that they want to come and find out about you, maybe um find you on the internet, see like what you're doing, find your book. Where would people be best to discover you?
Yeah, so you can find my book on Amazon. It's called Fat to Fit: My Health Journey. And you can also check out everything through my website, which is called Fluff to Tough. um, and my book link is on there. Some of the podcasts that I've been on there, the links for them are on there. And you can always follow me, like you said, on Instagram or Facebook. Like I try and post as much motivational stuff as I can on there because I know what it's like to be alone and feel alone. And if you see my post, like if that is what makes you not feel alone that day and inspires you to keep on going, like That's the
Yeah.
goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's lovely because yeah, it's so inspirational, and I just really urge you to keep going and just really give yourself a pat on the back for like how far you've come. And
Oh yeah.
like we can forget, can't we, when we get used to doing all of the fit stuff, that
Oh yeah.
where you were and how much effort, like rather than thinking how much of a struggle it was, but how much effort and like discipline went into that. So
Yeah. And that's the thing is when I look back at pictures and I see how like I was at my heaviest, I'm so proud of that person and their decision to take the first step.
yeah. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Like taking that first step. So,
Yeah, that was a huge part of it for me. Is just finally being able to start that journey.
yeah. So as we finish and just like bringing this to an end, is there, we've had lots of words of wisdom already. Is there any sort of final words that you just want to share before we finish?
Just even when it seems hard, like just keep going. You can do anything. You just might need to modify it. And that's
Yeah,
okay as long as you keep doing it.
yeah. So adapting's good, keeping going, and yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Rita, for coming on. And I really appreciate our conversation. And thank you, listeners, for being here, listening along. If this inspires you in any way, whether to do something in terms of your fitness or actually some of the messages here can apply to other aspects of your life, then I'd love to hear about what's really sung to you today. And to get in touch. And thank you as ever for listening, and speak to you soon. Bye bye.